here. So today's quiz on vascular supply of the eye. Let's see this quiz on Telegram. Okay, so I'm ready. The first question is central retinal vein drains into. So there are 4 vortex veins. The 2 upper vortex veins drains into superophthalmic vein. 2 inferior vortex veins drains into inferior ophthalmic vein, while central retinal vein, which comes outside the optic nerve, goes directly into superior ophthalmic vein, which goes into cavernous sinus behind the apex of the orbit. Arterial circle is formed by anastomosis of, there are 2 long posterior ciliary arteries. They are long, they come from posterior to anterior, and anastomose with the anterior ciliary artery to form the major and minor arterial circle. So answer is C. And major is around the periphery of the iris and ciliary body, and minor is around the pupil margins. Now this is the lateral view of the eye, which is showing ABCD 4 arteries are there. A is the internal carotid artery, which does not enter the orbit. D is ophthalmic artery, which enters the orbit via optic canal. I told you yesterday also in the orbit anatomy quiz. While C are posterior ciliary artery, which are 2 in number, I told you, and B is the central retinal artery. So false statement is artery A means internal carotid enters via optic canal. That is wrong. B is true. Central retinal artery supplies the inner 6 layers of the retina. B is internal carotid artery, I told you, and there are only 2 long posterior ciliary arteries. Vortex veins are 4 which exit the sclera into superior and inferior ophthalmic vein. Central retinal vein exit the optic nerve. Superior and inferior ophthalmic vein exit the orbit via SOF, supraorbital fissure, upper and lower part, which I told you yesterday in anatomy of orbit as well. So anterociliary arteries are also known as muscular arteries because they supply the muscles of the eye. There are 7 anterociliary arteries because there are 2 for each rectus except lateral rectus. So lateral rectus has only 1 anterociliary artery, whereas 4 rectus muscles are having 2 anterociliary arteries. Now, which is the false statement? The central artery travels in the optic nerve and branches to supply the layers of the inner retina. That is true statement. Most of the venous drainage from the anterior segment is directed posteriorly into the vortex veins. That is true. Anterociliary artery travels with the extraocular muscles and pierces the sclera near the limbus to join the major circle. That is true. The long posterior ciliary artery pierces the sclera around the optic nerve and arteries to form the arteriole. No. The short posterior ciliary arteries pierce the sclera around the optic nerve. Around the optic nerve, Zinholler anastomosis is by the short posterior ciliary arteries, which are 15 to 20 in number. Some books mention 6 to 10, but 15 to 20 in number. They form anastomosis among themselves, known as Zinholler anastomosis, which supplies around the optic disc, around the optic nerve, and ultimately the choroid also. So D is the wrong statement. An arteriovenous ratio is a repeat question. You should know in the retina and the optic disc is 2:3. The lumen of the artery is narrower than the lumen of the vein. That is 2:3. That's the 10 questions. That's the 7 questions. I hope you have done correctly. Best wishes.